The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi and welcome to the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, a weekly show dedicated to all things Port Adelaide Footy Club. I'm your host, Macca 19, a very excitable Macca 19 this evening. And joining me, as always, we've got Fishing Rick 04. How are you, mate?
Very, very good, buddy, and I'm very excited as well. What a fantastic weekend it was.
What a bloody brilliant weekend.
Absolutely.
And joining us for the first time on the podcast this evening is a long-time poster on our forum. We're speaking with Jonts.
Yeah, guys, how are you?
Very, very good. What a
Yeah, good,
fantastic weekend.
I can't get the smile off my face. Honestly, you little ripper.
The hoodoo is over.
Look, yeah. The voodoo.
Is it a bit early to say the hoodoo's over after one game?
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
Done,
over.
without doubt.
It's done. It's buried. It's gone. Let's never speak of that last 7 years ever again.
Yes, that's true.
Can't remember the last 7 years. What are you guys talking about?
All right, as we do every time with new people on the podcast, let's find out a little bit about your background, Jonts, and how you became a Port supporter.
Forced into it by the family, but best thing they've ever done, really. So yeah, Dad mad Port, Mum mad Port, and didn't really get a choice. But yeah, and we were going well when I was young. 01 to 04, so I jumped on and don't regret it.
Beautiful, that's the way. And what's your favourite match?
Favourite match? 04 prelim. I was on the outer wing, and I was just that was the day I was like, crap. Port Adelaide means so much to people. Some old man, I reckon me and him had a bit of jokes about the game, and he did with my dad. I mean, he just picked me up crying. I was like, oh, bloody hell.
It was a great game.
Absolutely.
Roger James. Yeah, one of the biggest games in life history, yeah.
And what about your favourite player?
Westhoff.
Westhoff?
Or Jonas. Oh, yeah, Westhoff. Little forward flank that can go on the ruck myself, so, just like him.
Yep. Fair enough. Good call.
Wish I can't grow his beard, though, to save myself.
That beard's out of control too, isn't it?
I watched the semi-final for Geelong the night before we played them, and that beard was nothing. Like the growth in that pre-season beard, remarkable.
All right, let's go on to our love and hate. Fire up, lads. One thing we loved, one thing we hated in and around the Port Adelaide Footy Club this week. Rick, I will start with you, buddy. What did you love and hate?
Well, I've been crying out for a long time now, Macca, for our experienced mids to stand up collectively in a game. And it was great to see Kane Corns, 33 possessions, Travis Boak, 32, Hamish Hartlett, 29, Brad Ebert, 28. But it's not just about possessions. It was just their influence around the whole game, be it defensively, offensively, smart decision-making, and they all gelled together, all stood up in the leadership group as they all are, and they were the big driver for us getting the win. And I'm sure, or I'd be positive that Ken Hinkley would have been imploring them pre-game to stand up, and they stood up and they delivered.
What about your hate?
My hate, as I said to you earlier, I'm really struggling with a hate this week. I'm pretty happy with all things football this week, but I've gone and nitpicked out Stevie Johnson. I thought, and it was made reference to on the forums today as well. I thought it was pretty poor form for him to go up to an umpire, telling an umpire to report Kane Corns for staging when Steve Johnson's one of the biggest stagers going around. And I'm pretty sure he had a few stages last week against Hawthorn. So I think for someone like him, he should probably really be keeping his opinions to himself and not casting too many stones. That's
right. Agree with that one. Jonts, what about you, buddy? What was your love and hate?
Love was Mr. Bobby Carlisle. Honestly, his run from full back, and he went toe-to-toe with Hawkins, and Ken Hinkley said he'd look forward to it, and I was like, would you? It's one of the best forwards in the comp, and I just held him well. I don't know, Hawkins still got his 2 or 3, but every time there was a contest, Carlisle was running out in front, and I was like, Burjo, I just wanted to give Carlo and Burjo a hug. There was a wing. There was a play on the western wing. I reckon Carlo got 3 touches in the space of 30 seconds, and Trengo killed it with a out of bounds on the full. But Adapale, I love him. Big love for the week.
Great call. Some of those plays,
call.
some of those plays where he had the courage to run off Hawkins and get up as the third man and make those spoils. Very courageous, and they're game-changing moments. Those ones, and it was great to see him with that confidence. And on his Twitter sphere, people was wishing him luck and saying run straight lines, and that's what he did, wasn't it, boys? He ran straight lines.
Absolutely.
Just his way to. You used to, when you get too early and you're like, oh, well, Carlisle's going to have a bad kick on him, but he kicked on him, he goes, oh, well, that happened, and moves on.
That's it. Now, what about your hate?
Bit fickle, but, in a great week for a footy club, was hard to go fickle, was the cheer squad, the main cheer squad that with the clapping for not giving in, they killed it way too early with their random cheers, and then all of the eastern side started cheering as well. Here they are, good. And that awesome clap we had just died, and it tried to start again, the southern stand, and I was like, nah, not doing it, refusing. You killed it.
That is fickle, but I will agree. It's sort of everyone started clapping. You thought, "You beauty, here they come," and then 30 seconds later, they ran out. It was a bit weird.
But they did start a couple of awesome power chants though during the game. But there was one, I think, in the third quarter where they really got most of the crowd yelling out power. And if we just extend on from that, Hayde, I know what you're saying there, Jonts, but how it's been made reference to by nearly everybody, but how great was the crowd atmosphere last night? It was just fantastic being there, and everyone put in 100% to try and get the boys up, and God, it was fantastic.
Yep.
Was there actually a siren? Am I cutting your lunch here, Macca?
You're cutting my lunch big
time.
All right,
I won't say any more. All right, I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, I can't wait till the finals there, boys. Finals there, if that's 47,000 against, it's a Sunday twilight, imagine Saturday night final, prelim.
Now, my love and hate for the week. My love, it's got to be Youngie, Aaron Young. He copped the most ridiculously hard hit to the face in that third quarter. It looked like he'd been knocked out. He really struggled to get up. I don't think he actually moved for about 30 seconds. I thought, well, it's a stretcher case. He's gone, sub him off. He sort of hobbled off the field. He looked gone for all money. 5 minutes later, he's back on the field, and I thought he played an absolutely ripping last 30 minutes, even though he muffed up the easiest shot on goal in the history of the game. Doesn't matter. I thought that was exactly what Port Adelaide's all about this weekend. Be brave. He was absolutely brave. He went back on and just had a ripping last 30 minutes. Good on him, I reckon.
I reckon that hits why he hit the post. Well, let's go with that, eh?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of concussion there.
Yeah, that's right.
Bit of double vision. You can't blame him. And my hate, as you sort of half mentioned a moment ago, it's got to be the siren and the sound system. I don't know what happened, but it's gone from being the best bloody sound system in the Southern Hemisphere to sounding like something you'd expect out at Noarlunga. It just was noticeably quieter. Even all the pre-game entertainment and the songs and the all that sort of stuff, it was much quieter than the previous 2 weeks. So I'm not sure if they had some complaints about that. But my main beef was about the siren. I sit dead centre, ground level, on the wing, and literally could not hear the quarter time and half-time siren at all, which is staggering for where I sit at the ground level. The only way that I knew that the quarters ended was actually seeing the bench guys walk onto the field. I thought, well, what the hell's going on here? Oh, it must be half-time. So I don't know what was going on there, but, to have a siren that quiet, I'm not sure what it was like in the Southern Stand or anything like that, but in the members, you literally could not hear it at all. Southern Stand,
I didn't hear it once.
No, I didn't. Well, I heard it in the third quarter and the last quarter.
I heard the third quarter, yeah, and that was it.
I don't even hear the opening one. We were shocked that the game started.
We got the power to win, power to roll, come on, Port Adelaide aggression, we are the power from Port.
Well, let's get into the review. We finally bloody did it. We beat the Hoodoo. The Geelong curse is over. We ran out very comfortable 40-point winners, 16 goals 11 to 9 goals 13. Chatty Wingard led the way with 3 goals, with Boakey, Robbie Gray, Hammer, Lobie and Whitey kicking 2 each. Jonts, as the guest on this podcast, you want to give us a quick overview of the game?
Yeah, sure. Just chuck that on me. No worries. No, pretty much it was absolute ripper game by Port. Like first quarter that we, 2 guys clashed and they came out in front just, and then second quarter I thought, crap, here we go. They were getting points everywhere, and I'm like, we can't turn this. Westdorf's down back already, and they're still getting points. We're going to be in trouble when they start kicking straight, and we settled and we had a lead at half time. That was your beauty, and then when we kicked the first run of the third, I thought, yeah, here we are, we've won this, because no semi-final replay. We've kicked the first of the third, and then we went again and again and again.
Yep.
And then from there, I don't know, it gets a bit hazy, but just tears were flowing, and Hart in the middle, and Boakey played the captain's game, and Lobe played a ripper. Yeah, Lobe played a ripper. Trungo did well. Like, it was a day where you just, at the end of the day, you say, look, I played well. Imby came on, got 3 touches. Best 3 touches I've ever seen from a start.
Just about.
One stage I was like, we'll win about 10 goals here, but, we missed a few set shots with Polek, and White he's admitted that he can't kick a set shot, and I was like, let's see how he goes, and it was ugly, but, we 40-point winners, and everyone walks away happy.
No, it was a great game. I think we all know that, and you got to. I think Macca touched on it with Youngie, but the few things that I noticed was what about the hardness at the ball? It didn't matter if it was on the ground or in the air. Those boys just were focused, beeline for the ball, nothing dirty. Just and I can remember, Jonas with that massive crunching tackle on Guthrie. He also split a few packs. You had Lobe come in and just slide in and split a few packs, and then you got Young's courage that you were talking about going for the ball. I mean, how noticeable was that, the difference? I mean, in the past it was really Dom and Logan that were doing that sort of behaviour, and now all the players are doing it.
I said before the game in the preview podcast that I wanted maybe 2 main things, and that was accountability and bravery. I think we definitely showed lots of both of those things. I thought we really choked their backline and didn't allow them to get any free players. We really forced them wide. We all know Geelong like to play down the corridor, but I can count on one hand the amount of times they went through the corridor on the weekend, I reckon. We just kept them through the wings, really harassed their ball carriers, thought that was fantastic. And we were definitely brave. I've already spoken about Youngie. We really stuck to our guns and played our own style of game plan. We really opened up the forward line and dominated across that half-forward line, which I was a little bit worried about. We won heaps of the hard ball in the middle. We just played with plenty of guts and lots of run, and we took the game on, had plenty of bounces, and came out on top.
Absolutely. It's, and it was amazing. I thought it was, you might have had a better angle than what I did, because being right behind the goals at the southern end, it's a bit hard to pick up on it. But, quite often you could see that Geelong were trying to roll the dice, and they had the extra man or men at the contest. And, defensively, again, we're going back to this repeated record where our structures were great, and even if they ran it out of the contest, they were just beaten when it came into the forward line. We had the players there to get the ball, defend the ball, and then rebound the ball and burn them on the rebound.
Our switch work was also really good. I thought that was best. I thought Geelong, they covered the switch very well, did it well against Hawthorn. But there's numerous times when, fat side's open, there goes Brody, there goes Hammer, there goes Polek, Pillard, whoever. Brilliant.
Did you notice that we seemed to, when we were kicking third quarter to the southern end, we seem to have a different setup for switching? And so if we had the play on the eastern stand pocket, we had 2 guys in the defensive 50 behind the ball, and then we had another 2 guys actually on the western wing. So we almost created a horseshoe for the switch. And so we already had the players there in advance to run the ball around in a switch. And Geelong really focused with their players flooding on that eastern side. And we didn't take advantage of the switch. I thought it was available, but it's a distinctly different pattern of structure that I've noticed in the past to setting up for that switch play. And I don't know if that's Phil Walsh's influence or Kenny Hinkley's influence, but we're definitely starting to structurally set up with different options. And as you said, Macca and Jonts, it's definitely showing in our gameplay. We're definitely moving the ball a lot better.
I remember Woodard running a lot of the time with switch it as well, and that would never happen under the Primer stage. If we had a runner, like an actual fast runner, and Pierce or whoever it was, we'd kick him 9 times out of 10. But these times, tons of times when there's a runner, we're like, no, you're not the best option. Kick to another runner. It's brilliant.
I think the thing that impressed me the most was, I think, Jonts, you mentioned it briefly in your review, was that we were really under the pump in that sort of first 5 to 7 minutes of that second quarter. We just couldn't get it out of our defensive half at all. Geelong just kept peppering the goals. They were missing some easy shots at goal. I too thought, geez, we could easily wilt here and suddenly find ourselves 5 goals down pretty quick. But we kept to our guns. We soaked up that pressure, and as soon as the breakaway happened, we goaled from it. I think Robbie Gray kicked a goal. And from then on, we never really looked all that headed. You could almost sense the air being let out of Geelong's lungs there and then, where you kind of sense that they thought, well, we're on top, but we haven't been able to do anything about it. Damn, now we're suddenly 2 or 3 goals down. We're going to find it pretty hard to get back into this.
No, exactly. Like, they happened in the first and then in the second. I think, the boys stood tall, and not all the points were, sure there was a Vico directly in front, should have kicked, even though it was in the fourth, but shots, it's all good saying they kicked tons of points, but you got to realise that half of those points were under considerable Adelaide pressure that, we just haven't gave in years before.
Bit of credit to Geelong too, though. I mean, I thought they were very clever in that third quarter. We got a quick run on very early, and you could tell they really took the tempo out of the game and just really tried to get stoppages, control the ball, and they did slowly work their way back into the game and got a couple of goals and brought the margin back. And that's an experienced side really, trying to control the play to their advantage. And I think what was great from our perspective is that that happened and then we responded. Whereas in the past we weren't responding, and the teams would get a couple of goals, and then all of a sudden, before we know it, that team would kick 7 or 8 goals, whereas this is a completely well-structured outfit now and well-coached, and, they got a couple of goals, but we went, hang on, this ain't going to happen, and we stood up. And, that the end of the third quarter and the start of the fourth quarter was just fantastic football, and they couldn't keep up.
Yep. We put them under a ridiculous amount of pressure. That's why they had so many turnovers and just couldn't get a clear run at it. We all know that they like to get their running game going, and when it is going, it's really, really hard to stop. But we managed to stop their running game, and that's something that not too many teams have been able to do over the last 6 or 7 years.
What did you guys think of Jared Rivers on Westhoff? I thought he did a pretty good job and really nullified Westhoff. I thought Westhoff at the same time still created a contest in the forward line, brought the ball to ground, but he definitely lost a bit of his influence in this game.
Rivers did a great job, but I also think that's another testimony to Port's big win. Like when Schultz and Westhoff between them kicked one, Port Smalls and midfielders done well. But yeah, Rivers, hats off to him, did really well. But yeah, Westhoff brought the ball to the ground, and that's all you can ask a key forward to do, really.
Now, Matty Lobe, is that the best game we've seen from the Lobster so far?
Definitely this year, absolutely. He's. I've decided I'm not going to make any calls on Lobe anymore until 5 rounds into the season, because obviously he's a slow starter to a season, and last year was the same. This year's another one, and he's just starting to hit his straps now. But he's definitely a player that wants game time, isn't he? He wants to be the number one man and just wants all the game time.
Yep. And how good's his goal kicking?
Oh, Brendan Laydesk.
Just laser-like, just never misses. You can tell why he was a centre-half forward as a junior.
He's got a pure kicking action, that's for sure.
Please, Jared Redden, get yourself fit, young man. Because a duo of Redden and Lobe will be impossible for teams to counteract, because they're both fantastic in front of goal, and they're both very, very good tap ruckmen.
I thought at the start of the game, some of our boys looked a little bit nervous, not as composed as, say, the showdown. I thought the showdown, they came out and they were very composed. I thought there was a few players. I thought Pittard was a little bit nervous. I thought Jackson seemed a little bit nervous at the start in that first quarter, and it took us a little while to get our composure there.
No, I 100% agree with that. That's one of the notes that I had, was that we lacked composure, especially in the defensive half in the first quarter. We made a lot of errors, and I know you love him, Rick, but Jasper Pittard absolutely scares the crap out of me whenever he has the ball for more than about 3 seconds. Because he just overthinks it and something bad happens.
Yeah, look, it was... I didn't really see it because it was more at the northern end, but I think there was one where he missed that bounce and the ball went. Yeah, and so we were lucky we got away with it. But that's what it was. Jackson had an error around that same time. Jasper had one, and I did notice that, and I thought, geez, well, I better bring that up, otherwise I'll get chastised for not being objective. And there was one, I think. We were going to the northern end, so I think it might have been the second quarter. He was running out of defence with the ball, and he had a perfect opportunity to spot Brad Ebert up pretty much straight away, about 40 metres down the line, and he left it, and he tried to run with the ball a bit much, and then ended up having to sort of corral himself into that the defensive pocket, and then handballed it to a player to go out of bounds. So again, it didn't hurt us, but those comments over the last few weeks about not taking the first option sort of came off there a little bit. But, I mean, as we've been seeing, his game is getting a lot better each week. His defensive aspects to the game are fantastic, the tackling, and he wasn't a lone soldier there with nerves. But luckily we had, players like Tom Jonas and Bobby Carlisle and Jack Holmes. How good was he?
Cool as a cucumber, that fella. As you were saying, Rick, about Lobie being a slow starter to a season, I reckon Jasper's the same, but in a match sense. He seems to always struggle in the first maybe 30, 35 minutes, but once he gets his head in the game, certainly his second halves this year have been fantastic. And again, I thought he really improved as the game went along. I thought he was one of our best players in that second half.
No, agreed. That's why I'm slowly becoming a fan. Don't make Pilar the sub, because if he's going to take 10, 15 minutes to warm up anyway, you don't want to waste that if he's wearing the green vest.
No, true, very true.
No, I don't think so. I think if anything, maybe just give him more bench time, in the beginning, and just let him burn the nerves out and bring him on the bench, and then get him on and get a feel of the game. But as you said there, Jonts, Ollie Wine's pack work I thought was fantastic last night. Just the way he just crunched in, got the ball, was able to deliver and execute some fantastic handballs. What did he end up with? 24 possessions, 5 kicks, 19 handballs, and not many of those handballs would have gone to waste. He's just a beast of a player, as we keep saying week in, week out.
Might be a big call. But I reckon he's got the best handball I've seen since Greg Williams.
That is a big call.
I can't think of a player with his ability in contested situations just to find that little gap whilst being tackled time and time again to get the ball free and hit a Port Adelaide player on the chest with a handball. It's just incredible. And he's only just turned 19. It's ridiculous.
He'd be one of the best handballers up the club, up there with Polek. But I don't know. I just think in the first quarter with Ollie Wines and Steve Johnson, I think that's when we tuck away for the big games. We say, look, Ollie Wines would get you a defensive player eventually. But I don't know if that happened in a final, and that he had 8 touches, 2 goals, Steve Johnson in the first quarter compared to Ollie's 5. I don't know. I think Ollie's best footy is there's football, get football, break pack, handball out, rather than I'll just watch Steve play.
Was Ollie Wines, Macca, you keep notes of matchups. Was Ollie Wines on Johnson in the first quarter?
Yeah, he was. I don't think he was doing a defensive job. I think it was more sort of like you can go up against Stevie Johnson and try and hurt him the other way.
Did he play on him the whole game? Because me and my son, we thought after the second quarter Johnson really got locked down on a lot more than the first quarter. Did they switch players then?
Yeah, Jonas spent considerable time on him.
So they listened to our podcast from last week then, is that what you're saying?
Definitely. They always do. You know this.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because, again, behind the goals, sometimes it's hard to pick up on all those matchups. So, because it was noticeable that Johnson really got away in that first quarter, and we really had to tighten up on him because you just can't let him run loose.
Yeah, just still on matchups. I reckon, has there ever been a time where the sub's been a tagger and then the person he's tagging got better? Because in Travis Boak's case in that second half, I reckon when Hunt went on him, Boak got more for him.
Well, probably. I mean, Taylor Hunt's not a fantastic player. He's certainly not at Boakey's standard, but that's just about the best game I've seen from Boakey as well. I reckon he's definitely overtaken Lenny Hayes as having the best and certainly the most creative sidestep in the country at the moment.
Well, he seems to keep his feet so close together, doesn't he? So he's very nimble on his feet when he's trying to do those pirouettes and sidesteps.
Very Franco-esque.
Low centre of gravity.
I was outside of the players. I thought Ken Hinkley did a fantastic job once again. Not only with the matchups though, with his words. I mean, there's obviously been a few interviews with Ken this week, today, and there was one on SEN, and there was also after the game last night. And he didn't shy away from top spot, and I thought that was fantastic. I'm all for it. He basically put it on the players now that they have to step up and try and defend it. And, when a lot of people could have tried to downplay it, and I think that's great. Now that he's starting to put a little bit of pressure and a bit of heat and telling the boys, well, now it's time to step up. And on SEN this morning, they basically said, would you be asking Young to handball that ball off next time to Wingard? And he said, no, I'll be demanding. Which they all had a chuckle. But, and then you had Waitley with 360 tonight talking about the pre-game and how the players just came in around him and it was just went all quiet. But they all listened. And, obviously he's just got those boys, their respect, and they're listening to every word that he says, and they're doing exactly what he's doing. And I think he's got so many non-negotiables going with those boys, and they're just executing. I think, as we all know, it's blatantly obvious, but what a fantastic job he is actually doing.
Good job. I just also love to add to that just how calm he is after every win. We just beat the team, he said later in an interview with Cam Mooney, the best team in the comp for 10 years. But the way he was walking down after from the box, it was like we had a draw. Just smile and just calmly, elegantly walks down. No high fives to any of the supporters. If that was a Choco win, we would have seen his jacket off, flustered, arms in the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Choco would have done a lap of honour after that.
Oh,
he would have brought him over to the western side 3/4 time. I actually missed that, but he would have done it.
Yeah.
How good am I? But I think more importantly though, he's calm in defeat too.
Definitely.
So other when he's trying to punch Sean Hart, he's not losing his cool, and his message is always calm. It's always efficient. It's always calculated, and I just noticed those words. I mean, him demanding team first football. And we've spoken about that goal already, but just the words that he's using he's a very smart operator, and we're very lucky that he ended up deciding to come here and we got him, because he's doing a fantastic job with the rest of the coaches.
All right, well, Rick, who were your best players, mate?
Who were my best players? Well, flip a coin. I did take Travis Boak. I just thought offensively, he was great, and that's why I've just given him the nod over Kane Corns. I think I've probably neglected Kane a little bit this year because of his experience in the points, but I thought Kane did a fantastic job. I've given Matt Lobey 3. Again, like we said, fantastic game from Matt. Hamish Hartlett, I thought he stood up, kicked a couple of goals. Great influential game around the whole game. His second quarter was fantastic, and and Ebert's very unlucky only to be getting 1 point. But I thought Ebert, once again, standing right up there. And as Kane said today on the radio, he's in All Australian form, and be very unlucky if he's not in the All Australian team at this point in time.
Yeah,
I reckon we have quite a few in the All Australian team. Or two, and then we'd have several in the squad at this point in time.
Yep.
All right, Jonts, what about your best players, mate?
Could be just saying that all played well and they moved on, but probably best on ground I had Ebert. Well, I thought he should have got the medal, just his way early on. Do your work early is one of the things that we've had a Crows fitness guy say to the Flaggy boys, it was do your work early. So I think Brad Ebert did that remarkably well, so he's got mine 3 votes.
Yep.
And 2 votes goes to the skipper, just played head-to-head with Selwood early on, before Kane took him, did a great job. I don't know, Boakey could have easily been on his Geelong Guernsey, and we would have lost that with 29,000 there, if things were going differently, possibly. But did really well, and just love his run and his leadership. From where I said, it's pretty high up, so you can see the arms point more than you can, I reckon, on a side-on view, but I just love his leadership as well. And then the 1 vote for me sneaks to Lobster, just 2 goals from a 2 goals from your ruck, and he also does well against 2.5 other ruckmen, does really well. And yeah, just deserves that one. But that one vote could have gone to 20 of the guys, to be honest.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. For me, it had to be Boki best on ground. As I said earlier, I think he's overtaken Lenny Hayes as the best and most creative sidestep in the country. It's probably the best game he's played. 32 disposals, 2 goals, 9 clearances, 16 contested possessions. He did it all yesterday on the biggest stage. Fantastic leadership, as you said, Jonts. Just a fantastic player at the moment. Kane Corns, the resurgence of Kane over the last 2.5 years has just been a thing of beauty for me. I've always been a lover of Kane. And it was just like 21-year-old Kane Corns going up against Simon Black in that 2004 grand final yesterday. 33 disposals. He kept Selwood to just 17 himself. That's just about the most perfect defensive game you can get on Joel Selwood. Matty Lobe third. That's what we've been waiting all year for. That was the absolute best of the lobster. Just dominated the ruck contests. Was excellent around the ground. 2 perfect shots on goal. It was probably the most important game of his career, I think. Homshi I had as 4th best on ground. How bloody good is he? He's just an absolute mainstay on our side for the next decade, you got to think. He's just so strong defensively, a wonderful spoiler of the ball. He closes space on his opponent better than anyone else in the league, I think. And the thing that I love about him is just how cool he is with the ball in his hands. You can tell even when he's under pressure, he just looks almost laconic. But he's just going to hit that target every single time. He beat Bartel and Walker, 2 very, very different players. Such a fantastic game. And 5th best on ground, it's got to be Ollie Wines. Just an absolute superstar at 19.5. The way he just controls games with his contested ability, his clearance winning ability, and also, without doubt, the best pressure handball going around. As I said, I reckon it's the best since Greg Williams. Just the way that he can pinpoint a gap through a group of flailing limbs and bodies and just hit that target time and time again is just incredible. It's a fantastic ability to have, and it's definitely going to see Winesy thought of as a superstar before too long if he's not there already.
Just quick small one. Just first time we really saw the Oval under lights. It looked really good. And but with the surface, there was a few times I saw Gray, I saw Hammer do it, and they just slipped. And I was wondering what's the deal there? If it's just a bit dewy with the night. But yeah, and a couple of bounces didn't come back up. It's just something to watch going forward. But well on the lights.
Well, I didn't think there was actually much dew at all. I actually said to my wife in the car that I thought it was actually a fantastic night for footy. Maybe you're right though. The ground maybe did get a bit slippery. I know around that third quarter you could feel the temperature drop. So maybe there was a bit of dew on the grass, but it wasn't noticeable, like mist like you get at the old Amy Stadium. Maybe they might need to look at changing the studs. But yeah, I agree with you. Under lights was just fantastic. And I used to hate the twilight games at Footy Park, but I actually didn't mind the twilight game at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, I thought it looked stunning and lots of colour. I just love our colours at the moment. Even the You'll Never Tear Us Apart going up on the LED lights around the ground.
Is that the first time they've had Never Tear Us Apart on the LED lights? Because that's the first time I noticed it, and it looked unreal. That's the best of anything on those signs. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it in the showdown or in the Brisbane. All right. Well, Rick, do you want to tell us a bit more about this competition we've got going?
Absolutely, mate. We've had a lot of interest so far, so it's been great to see plenty of people getting out there, sharing the podcast and tagging a friend. I've noticed due to some of people's security settings, I'm not seeing all the shares when people are sharing it. So still share it, but please make sure you do tag a friend in it as well. So at least I can pick up if you share it and tag. I can pick up that you would have done it through the share. And there's still 2.5 weeks to go before the draw. So you get the 2 locker room tickets. So this week we had John Casey in the locker room. He interviewed Buddha Hocking, and Buddha was fantastic. And Angus Mumfries came in before the game. You get free drinks up until the start of the game. You get free drinks at half-time. You can see into the players' change rooms. Macca, you saw it last time. It's really interesting. So like I said before, all you have to do is just get out there and share the podcast and tag a mate in the podcast, and you'll go into the draw. And if you do more than one podcast, again, you go into the draw a couple of times, and in a few more weeks we'll pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Is that for
can't be Macca.
Is that tag a friend in a comment on the podcast, or tag a friend when you share it?
No. So you share it. They're two different acts. So share it, and then in the comments, just tag a friend in the comments.
And you'd be found on Facebook on the Poor Big Footy one, or just a Big Footy one?
Spot on the money, mate. So if you go to, I've changed the domain or the URL of Big Footy, so it's a lot easier for people now. So if you just go facebook.com/Big Footy, that will take you to the Big Footy page. Big Footy Power, sorry. Thanks, Macca. Macca's also putting it up on the Twitter page, which is Big Footy Power as well, isn't it, Macca, on Twitter?
Sure is.
So you've got it up there as well. Get it on iTunes, get it on, obviously, the Big Footy page. And I ran out of time, but I'm also going to put it on the website as well. So there's plenty of options in relation to getting to the download.
Get around it. Sounds awesome.
Absolutely. And what a cracker of a game it's going to be. I mean, I can't believe I'm giving away the locker room tickets for the Hawthorn game. I should have picked like Port versus Bulldogs or something. So everyone's getting a fantastic game to go to.
Cheer the black and the white. Honour the Magpies day and by night. Live that loyal.
All right, well, on to our SANFL review. It was another 10-goal victory for the Maggies. They played West Adelaide on Saturday at Adelaide Oval. They won 21 goals 8 to 11 goals 10. Fantastic kicking for goal there. Johnny Butcher kicked 5 goals for the second time in 3 weeks. Ooh. He's in some pretty good form. Benny Newton, just absolutely blistering form this fella's in. He kicked another 3, whilst Mitch Harvey, Cameron Hitchcock, Andrew Moore and Kane Mitchell kicked 2 each. It was a pretty tight game at half-time. There was only 9 points in it at the main break. But Port Adelaide came out firing after half-time with a massive 7-0 third quarter, which killed the game as a contest.
And it's good to see players that are racking up consistent performances now. We spoke about Benny Newton last week, and again, another 7 clearances, 6 in-fight side 50s, 3 goals, 31 posies. Geez, he's got to be pushing hard for a spot, I'd imagine, this week.
Pretty stiff. You've got to put him in.
Yeah. Did either of you guys see the game at all?
No, I listened to it on the radio.
Yeah, I've seen the YouTube Port Adelaide highlights, but yeah, it looked good. For this, I want Steve Summerton to win with Gary, just so a Port Adelaide player can win it who's not AFL listed. But yeah. Yeah.
I only asked because, Macca, you were pretty critical last week about about Butcher leading under the ball, not getting his leads right. It'd be interesting to get some feedback from someone that was actually there to see how and how he's going with his leading in that game. But you can't complain. 5 goals twice in 3 games. He's starting to get there.
Well, I think it was the same story with Butch, where he really, really struggled in the first half. He only had 1 kick to half-time again, which was the same story against Glenelg. So he's getting all his goals in the second half when the heat's out of the game, which I'm not sure is a fantastic thing. But in the end, he's kicked, 10 goals, 3 in the last 3 weeks. It's a pretty good output.
Yeah, but I think it was CM Power who posted on the Butcher thread about how he pushed Mitch Harvey and him swapped from the centre forward to the full forward role half time, and then CM Power, because I was asking on the thread, CM Power also talked about how he didn't see any real issue with the reading the ball, but yeah, I agree that's one of his main issues. But averaging 10 goals every 3 games in SANFL will give the Ken Farmer a shake.
Yep, definitely.
Do you guys see, I know this is for Thursday night, but do you think Newton's almost a must to come in after his performances now?
I'm pretty confident that he has to. Otherwise, we'll get some other club will have to surely see what he's doing, see the circumstances he's in, and say, look, Matty Whiting, I'll call it, look, we'll give you more games. And look, he's 22, hasn't debuted yet. Sure, it's a long time, but yeah, I think it's time release the Newton. Otherwise, I reckon we might lose him.
Yeah, look, I think it's clear he's going to get games this year. For me, I definitely 100% would be bringing him in this week against GWS. He deserves a crack. He's in the best form of his career. Why not bring him in against GWS and see what he can do? Maybe drop Sammy Gray back for a week. He deserves a go. I mean, there's not much more he can do. He's kicking goals. He's getting heaps of the ball. He's winning clearances. He's getting it inside 50. Bring him in. It's
Absolutely.
time.
I agree.
As a Smaller Warrior said late last year, it's the year of the Newt, 2014. Yep. Just do it.
It almost sounds like you're imploring there, Macca.
I am. I want to see what he's got. I just want to see him in action.
He was watching the end of the game outside the locker room, and I was watching it too to see who won the medal. And I was going to tap him on the shoulder and said, "It'll be your medal next year, mate." But we both quickly scurried off before I could say it to him. But well, I'm very optimistic for Ben, and it wouldn't surprise me if there's been a conversation along the lines of, "Look, mate, just do your time, do your work, because there'll definitely be a spot for you. If not this year, definitely next year." We'd probably, I know Dom's been fantastic, but you'd have to think with the young depth that we've got in the side, surely we're going to have to make way, Dom, for one of these kids shortly. Otherwise, you're right, Jonts, we might start losing some of these boys. And the key is at the moment our depth is putting pressure on, and we don't want to lose that if we can help it.
No.
And,
who do you pick though quickly? Just Moore or Newton for that Dom Cassisi inside midfielder role?
Well, you'd have to go on form at the moment, wouldn't you? You'd have to go Newton, but I'm pretty sure Moore he'll get a spot in the side soon. I mean, we've been pretty lucky, haven't we? Normally, every team has a couple of injuries, and we're almost running a fully fit squad at this point in time. So the injuries are going to create opportunity shortly, and hopefully for us, we don't have that problem, and we do stay injury free. But being in the land of the realistic, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we did have an injury in the Magpies. Sammy Calhoun did his knee. I don't think people know the extent of the injury at this point in time, but he did have a scan. So that might be one person out of action for a little while, which is really unfortunate because he looked like he had great numbers too. So that's 2 weeks in a row he racked up good numbers.
Yep. He's been in blistering form as well in the SANFL and has been unlucky not to get a call up, I guess. But yeah, it would certainly be very, very sad if he has done his knee. It didn't look all that good. I guess we'll wait and see what the scan says. Yeah.
I was actually thinking this week, I wonder if he could be a prototypal for us next Kane Corns, and a bit of a run-with player that can play a lockdown role but also run off and get possessions, because he gets the ball at will, doesn't he? And he's got a similar endurance to Kane. I wonder if there's a bit of mentoring going on there between Kane and Sammy C, or if the club's thought about it.
Yeah, you can definitely see that.
No, definitely, yeah. Also, when Calhoun has a better kicking action, it'll be good to see. I think he's got a better one than Kane. Kane's worse, but it's ugly to watch.
Yep. The other player that I want to mention was Darcy Byrne-Jones. That was by far his best game with his short career to date. 20 touches, 9 marks. Also had 4 inside 50s as well. Playing a little bit further up the ground than he has in previous weeks, more sort of across the centre line. How do we see his improvement going on this year?
Doing everything he needs to do at this stage. Him and I know Cole Amon played pretty well last week as well, and they've both got him to play that small defender, can play midfield role, and they're just slowly developing, and really they're just biding their time well.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, they're not players that I was expecting to see pushing for first team performances this year. So, I mean, all we can do is just look at them and see them develop in the SANFL, and hopefully they keep posting up big numbers and great influence. And, we just hopefully they can keep putting pressure on in the next year or two.
That's it. The other one I want to speak about is Tommy Logan, almost the forgotten man in our squad at the moment. He's racked up some huge numbers this year, and even this weekend he had 31 touches and 16 marks. Where do we see his future? Where do we see him fitting in?
Who are you talking about again?
Tommy Logan.
Sorry, I forgot he was on our list. Nah. Look, what did Russell Ebert Handball say? He's our May specialist.
Yeah.
Waiting for the rain to come.
Exactly.
And again, He looked pretty relaxed in the change rooms, to be honest. All the sub players did, but he was smiling, joking around with the team, and all the reserves were pretty much there and enjoying the atmosphere and looking on. And Tommy was really getting involved, from what I could see from the locker room window. And I was really impressed with Tommy last year, and he's just got to earn his time, I guess, doesn't he? And keep, he knows what to do. Just keep racking up performances, and an opportunity will present itself.
Really looking forward to him playing against Clare this week for the young fella that tribute game for unlucky young fella. But I reckon that's really good by Croys, first of all, for initiating that, and Adelaide going out and Port saying, "Yep, no concerns, let's do it." They're expecting 7,000 there. Compare that to a 3,000 or 4,000 they normally get for a league grand final at the venue. You ripper for the club and the community, or the club.
Macca might even be there this weekend.
I think so.
I might be heading up.
Is royalty going to attend the Clare Masses there, Macca?
Quite possibly. Definitely go and do some wine tasting while you're up there as well. Well, Jonts, thanks for coming on.
No, always was a pleasure. Really good.
You've done well, mate.
Rick, as always, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with my dodgy internet again.
Took a while to get going, but it's all good. It's all good.
It'd get there eventually.
Go the Power.
Go to
Maggie's.
Port Adelaide.
Maggie's.
Goes forward again for Port Adelaide. No laughing matter for the Roos. Tread rate. Oh, don't tell me. Oh,